I'm in my hometown, Kelowna, BC. I'm at Wise Earth Farm. I've done a few videos here in the past, and I keep in contact with John Hofer quite a bit. He actually is a great carpenter and has been working on some projects at my house. So him and I talk quite a bit, and we talk shop. And he was telling me the other day about a new way that they're turning over their beds, and I thought it'd be interesting to share with you guys. So that's what I'm here doing today, and I'll just kind of give it a brief introduction and let John explain the rest. But what they're essentially doing is they found a more expedited way to turn over their beds. So this is an intensive market garden. They're rotating these beds, I would say probably at the very least 2 times a season. Even for the longer season type crops, maybe like carrots or beets or summer squash or things like that, they get rotated at least twice a season. But their greens beds are in constant succession, and they've got a new way of turning them over quicker. So one of the typical ways that market gardeners do is they will maybe power harrow or flail mow a previous crop and then tarp it for a period of time and then let that decompose and then come back in. But that takes time, and they don't have that kind of time here, especially as we approach, we're late summer right now, and so as we approach the fall, your days are now declining, and the time to act to get fall crops in reduces, and so you need to get them in quick. So what they're essentially doing here is power harrowing a previous crop and then just letting it sit for a day in the open air, and it dries out, and then they remove that crop. And John will explain it further what they're doing, but they're doing entire blocks at a time, and they've got the power harrow set to 2 inches deep, so it's fairly shallow, and they're just going right over top of beds of greens. And what you're going to see them doing today is prepping further and getting some fertilizer in there.
Yeah, so this field here yesterday was Selenova and some trial greens and just basically stuff that was way overgrown. Some of these were like that tall. So all we did was hand rip everything out, kept the weeds, as much of the taller weeds we ripped out, and then I power harrowed it. And now all I'm doing with this is going through with this flat blade with a Terratat hole, and I'm just doing the pathways. He's walking the pathways. And then we're going to rake it out, fertilize it, tilt it back, and put it back into production. So basically a day after we decided that was it, it's going back in. We don't have to worry about hilling our beds because we don't have flooding here. So when we power harrow the entire field as one, and then we remark our beds every time. So for us, it's not a big deal to save our pathways because we haven't really found that that's necessary. And then you can see over there as well, those 2 fields, same thing. Last night in the heat, at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I power harrowed them as well, and today they're all going to get prepped and put back into production.
So the basic idea is by power harrowing it and letting it sit a day, it dries up and makes that organic matter easier to pull out. And
you'll see here actually, if you look at here, just look at this debris over here. It's just laying on the top surface, and when you grab, do you mind grabbing that other rake, and we'll just do a quick demo of how quickly this rakes itself out. If you just take the rake and pull it, this whole thing just cleans itself up super easy. So what we do is we come to the center of the bed and just start raking stuff this way.
So you're pulling everything. Why not just power harrow the weeds as well?
Well, they'll still be a part of it, and then when we leave the weeds in, we might have more weeding to do, so we found out it's just as fast to rake this whole thing.
Right.
Just a quick, like this, if you think about it, this whole project will take me about 5 minutes to weed. That's not a lot of time for what we're trying to accomplish here. And I'm getting some of the paper out.
So you're doing a whole block at a time, essentially.
That's right. Now, if we wouldn't have so many weeds, this was a weedier patch, we wouldn't have to be as particular with getting the weeds out, we'd probably just tilt them right in. But because this block is a little bit weedy, we just have to get this extra work, which that's okay. It's still faster than putting plastic over top of it, letting it water, setting up irrigation, all that shit.
And I mean, I guess if you're raking out these weeds, they're gonna be dropping some seeds in there.
These weeds are not big enough that they will actually go to seed. Like I've checked these weeds, so for this weed, in order for it to have, yeah, that's pigweed. For it to drop seed, it actually has to turn brown. I've trialed this a lot, so none of this stuff will have seed in it. It's just a bit weedy that we got just before, you know, you don't let it get to seed.
And you're not putting compost on this time of year?
We will be, yeah. Oh no, sorry, no, fertilizer.
Just fertilizer. Yeah.
Just fertilizer.
Hope you guys find that one helpful. If you did, hit the subscribe button, share and like the videos, and I'll leave links to Wise Earth Farms in the show notes. You can check them out. All right, see you in the next one.